July 31st, 1989, the Game Boy was released in the United States. The Game Boy was successful for being portable and being able to load and quickly play games as soon as the device turns on. Sure, the handheld wasn't flashy or anything, and the screen display was like a mixture between yellow and green, but that didn't matter. A lot of kids and even adults loved to play on this portable device. But the Nintendo Game Boy had a lot of competition to see who had the better handheld. There were companies like Sega, Atari, NEC, Watara, all promoting their own handheld game consoles to see which one of them will take the lead in sales and officially beat the Game Boy. But they all failed. But there was one game handheld console that gave Nintendo a bit of a scare and could have possibly been Nintendo's newly released Game Boy. The handheld I'm talking about is this, the Gamate. The Gamate, or pronounced Gamate, is a handheld gaming console that was released in the early 1990s. It was developed by Bit Corporation, a Taiwanese company that specialized in manufacturing electronic products. The Bit Corporation was one of Taiwan's first video game companies. They helped develop games for the Atari 2600, and they also released two computers, the Bit 60 and the Bit 90. Bit Corporation also decided to develop a game console that was a combination of ColecoVision and Sega SG-1000 to create a hybrid console called DINA 2-in-1, which was released in 1986. These consoles are super rare and expensive to buy. I tried looking on eBay to see how much of these consoles sell for, and all I could find was a used one that was selling for $1,300. So, what I'm trying to say is, Bit Corporation had a lot of past experience working on game hardware, computers, and a console, thus made it a perfect contender to go against the Nintendo Game Boy. The Gamate was one of the earliest handheld gaming consoles to be released, and it was marketed as a low-cost alternative to the popular Nintendo Game Boy. The Gamate was first released in Taiwan around the early 90s and was later launched in other markets including the United States and Europe. It featured a monochrome LCD screen and its graphics were relatively simple compared to other gaming consoles of the time. However, it had a decent library of games including popular titles like Tetris, which was called Cube Up. Despite a decent game library of 35 to 70 games, the Gamate struggled to compete with Nintendo Game Boy, which was released around the same time. The Game Boy has slightly better graphics and sound, and it had the advantage of being developed by a well-established company with a strong reputation in the gaming industry. Bit Corporation, on the other hand, had a bad rep of plagiarism from other firms, resulting in the Gamate having really similar hardware to the Game Boy. Similarities include same display screen, same amount of RAM, same control configuration, and the same AC adapter. Even though the Gamate virtually has the same display screen as a Game Boy, it unfortunately suffers from motion blur, poor screen quality, and game lag with some of their games. Another problem that Bit Corporation ran into when promoting the Gamate is money. There just wasn't enough money for the Bit Corporation to start marketing their handheld outside of Taiwan, which drastically affected their sales. Even though the Gamate was cheaper to buy in the US and other countries compared to the Game Boy, a lot of criticism and reviews from the public focused on the console's poor screen quality and lack of big-name first-party game titles, which was part of the reason why people didn't want to buy the handheld. Bit Corporation ceased operating in 1992, but the UMC and its subsidiary Funtech continued to produce Gamate games and hardware. But the lifespan cut short and the handheld was no longer in operation in 1994. The handheld only lasted 4 years. Today, the Gamate is considered a rare and obscure handheld gaming console and is primarily of interest to collectors and retro gaming enthusiasts. Although it did not achieve commercial success, the Gamate played a small but important role in the evolution of handheld gaming technology. Thanks for watching.